Mhm.
Okay, let's give me some editable parts here. Good morning, Crystal. How are you?
Good morning, Jevon. How are you? Are we all ready to make this stuff rock and roll today?
I believe we are. I believe we are. This says turn on original
Okay.
sound. Okay, so today's topic is how to save without a 401k plan. So I thought that since we generally talk about how to work a retirement plan, that we would take some time this week and talk about how to save money if you don't have access to a 401k plan. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, we can, but can we tell the audience that is watching us that we're online
Yes, we can.
and who
So,
we are?
yes. So, good morning, everyone. This is Jevon Thomas, and welcome to Conversations on the Patio with Crystal and Jevon. How are you, Crystal?
Hey, how are you, Jevon? Glad to be back another week.
Yes, great. Good to see you. Love the hair.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So,
Time for a change.
we this is a show that talks to people about how to manage things that they have going in their life, especially from a financial point of view. Crystal and I met each other on LinkedIn, and we became friends. And we decided to put this show together because often people have questions about life, about all sorts of things, and they get that help from their friends. And their well-meaning friends give interesting advice sometimes, but they don't always get it quite right. So we wanted to take some time to correct that. So I'd like to begin first by introducing Crystal, and then we'll get right on it. So here we go. Crystal Mitchell, business coach, consultant, CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. It's a weekly online radio show. Instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College. She's also a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship. She's an instructor for there. And this is the one that gets me. She's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. I don't know why
Ah,
that's so
you
tough
got
to say.
it. You got it.
My name is Jevon Thomas. I am a registered financial advisor. I specialize in employer sponsored retirement plans like 401ks, 403bs, 457s, those kinds of things. So let's go ahead and get started. Crystal, we had that sort of wonky interview there. We're going to talk about 401k issue or issues of how to save when you don't have access to a 401k plan. Did you have any questions about that?
Um, no, I think today we're going to cover some other components to it. We just want to make sure that if you're pre-retirement, whether you're just starting in the workforce or whether you've been in the workforce or you're an entrepreneur or you're 2 minutes away from retiring and you're all super excited about jumping into your um, motorcade and heading out into the sunset, the one thing we want you to know is you need money to make that happen.
Very
So
true.
we're here to kind of give you some strategies, I guess. Would you call it that? Some strategies and some concepts and some things, some proven strategies that have worked for others. And so we're excited about that. And so we ready to take it away, Javon?
Yes, ma'am. Here we go. I want to talk to folks today about five major pieces. They're going to be the IRA, brokerage accounts, tax deferred annuities, real estate, and then, regular real estate that you own. So let's jump right in. The first one that we want to talk about is, and by the way, these are things that you can do mostly even if you have a 401k plan, and they're still a great way to go because diversifying your income is a good thing, right? So let's talk about the first one. The first is an IRA, an individual retirement account. Please don't call it an IRA. That just grates on me. It's an IRA.
So why does
Current,
that grate on you?
I don't know. I really don't. Currently, you can put about $6,000 away. If you're over the age of 59 and a half, you can put away $7,000. Sorry, if you're the age of 50, you can put away $7,000. You can do that on a pre-tax basis, which is what we call a traditional IRA. You've heard of those, right? Where you put the money away, it grows tax deferred. You put the money away, you can reduce your income, your taxable income, and the money grows tax deferred. And when you pull the money out, you have to pay taxes on it. That makes sense, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
The newer addition to that is what they call the Roth IRA. Same amount of limits that you can put in, same types of investments, but you put the money in after tax, the money grows tax free, and when you pull the money out, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So that's interesting. The first is you get to reduce your tax liability up front, and then
Mhm.
the second is you pay the money after taxes. So after taxes is like you've paid the taxes, and now it is time for you to invest. Now, some people
Mm.
wonder which is the best, right? And that's an
Mhm.
individual question. Most tax advisors suggest that you do both, that you have some pre tax money and some after tax money. The combination is really tough. At the extreme, if you, I think at the extreme, most people should probably do pre tax. And the reason I say that is you get the immediate benefit of reducing your taxable income. And so you may be able to contribute more because you're paying less in taxes. So I like that. At the
Mm.
other end of the string of the example, if you're in a situation where you think you're going to owe more after you retire than you owe before you retire, then you definitely want to do the Roth section of an IRA, right? Because you may as well
Mhm.
pay the taxes now before they get higher then, right? And then you can pull that money
Mhm.
out pre-tax, if that makes sense. A
Okay.
cool thing to remember is that you can mediate or uh, play with your tax liability if you have that Roth money there. You can decide where I'm going to pay things, right? The
Okay.
interesting thing to remember is all of us know that once we reach the age of 59 and a half, we can start taking money out of the plan, right?
Mhm.
With your IRAs after 59 and a half. If you're in a
Mhm.
traditional IRA, when you reach the age of 72, that year, reaching the age of 72, you have to take what's called a required minimum distribution. That's where the federal government looks at the amount of money that's in your plan and says, we want you to take a small amount out. And by the way, we're going to tax you on that. Okay. So you pay
Mm.
taxes on the money that you have to pull out. For most people, if they set this up right, it's
Mhm.
only a little bit that they have to pay the taxes on. Right? It's
Mm.
only a little bit that the government wants them to pull the money out. But here's the deal: every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The cool thing is that once you reach 100 years old, it stops growing. You still have to pay the required minimum distribution, but the amount stops growing. So you have that to look forward to. If
Okay.
you're in a Roth IRA, there is no required minimum distribution,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So,
So no matter what age you are, there is no age. There's no requirement,
right, there's
no
no requirement
restriction.
in
Okay.
the Roth IRA,
Okay.
right? In the traditional IRA, once you reach
Okay.
72, you got that RMD, the required minimum distribution. And most companies that you work with, they should figure that out for you,
Mhm.
right? So, uh, and if they don't, if
Okay.
you send them the numbers, they will. But if you're in the Roth section of an IRA, you don't have to do that. You don't have to take the required minimum distribution. And most financial service companies will allow you to have both in the same account. So you really want to take a look at your situation and see which one or which combination is better for you. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. 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 Now, if you're with a smaller, so how is, I know when you're in big corporations, when I worked in corporate America, we had our HR department kind of kept us informed. What happens when you're in a smaller company and they don't have the manpower or the, how do these people or how do the employees find out this information?
Okay, so if you're in a company you say it's your own company and you decide you want
Mhm.
to invest in an IRA, you can go to any of the major investment houses and say, hey, I want to invest in an IRA. Usually they have a minimum investment of $1,000 and you can
Mhm.
start saving. That company will take the responsibility of sending you a notice saying you now have a required minimum distribution or you don't have that required minimum distribution if you have a
Okay.
Roth. Here's the
So
kicker
it's
though. Oh, go
okay.
ahead. Yeah, there's a kicker.
No, no, no. There is a kicker. Yeah, let me hear the kicker.
The kicker is that if you have a 401k plan, you have the same deal. That company will allow you to do that. They will tell you when your required minimum distribution is due. You have a choice. If you're working for someone in a 401k plan, you have a choice as to whether you're going to take that required minimum distribution from that company's plan, right? If you're working.
Okay.
If you're
Okay.
not, if you're the owner,
If you're working.
yeah, if you're working. If you're the owner, you don't have that choice. So it's only for employees. That is, the owner cannot avoid the
Oh,
required
okay.
minimum distribution, but the employees can if they're still working at the company that provides that for their 401k plan. That's just a funny thing there.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have an
Okay. Okay.
IRA,
Okay. Well,
chances
that's
are,
that's good.
yeah,
That helps.
yeah. If you have a 401k, if you have an IRA, thing you want to remember: 72, you're going to have to take that required minimum distribution unless you're in the Roth section of that IRA, right? You can have both.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the minimum investment's
Mm-hmm.
$1,000. The company that you have the IRA with will tell you if you have a required minimum distribution, and they'll tell you how much it is.
Okay.
Okay? Makes
Okay.
sense? So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to worry
Mm-hmm.
about figuring it out. Okay.
Yeah, because that was my thing is, because when we make it too difficult, we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the before we even went on air. If it's too difficult, people are not going to pay attention, and
Exactly.
it becomes a dire need when it's time for them to retire, and things have not been simplified for them.
Yeah. That's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. And it brings us to a really big point, which is who can contribute to an IRA, right? And
Okay.
how much can you put in, be it Roth or traditional? So the limits are the same. So with regard to um, the amount that you can put in, that's $6,000 versus $7,000 if you're over the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to uh, people that can contribute, and I'm just going to look at my notes here. If you make over $140,000, you are unable to contribute to a Roth IRA.
If you make over,
Over 140, yeah.
okay, okay,
Or at least
okay.
the yeah, over 140. Yeah, that's how it goes.
And in today's time, especially living here in the state of California, um, we think of 140,000 as a lot of money until you live in California.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and and the amount of money that you actually get to bring home with you is usually much uh, highly reduced if you don't have any assets or deductions or retirement plans. You bring in home far less than that. A kind of a story, interjection of a story. My girlfriend just started working for a new company the other day, and so she got her first check, and she's like, "Oh," and she at this point she doesn't have any investments. She doesn't have well, she no, she doesn't have any investments. She does have a pension plan at some previous companies, but the pension plan doesn't start for this new company for a while. So she was looking at her check and going, "Oh my God, wait, what happened to my money?" And it's because so much is deducted in taxes.
Yes.
So that just being said, $140,000 is really not a lot of money if you live in the state of California.
It's not.
Just a
It's
little
not.
side note there.
Yeah. Yeah. It really, yeah,
Eh,
it really
so I
comes
guess it
quick.
just depends on. So Right. So how often do they update those, from the federal government? Because that's coming in from the federal government, right?
Yes, every year.
Those criterias and
Yeah,
every year.
every year, every year.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
some type of index there.
Okay.
So you might be unable to contribute,
Okay. Okay.
which is tough. And it's interesting because I never knew
Yeah.
that when I was first meeting. I just wanted to take a look up to confirm that. And that is the deal. If and what it
Mm-hmm.
says here is if you file taxes as a single person, your modified adjusted gross income must be under 139,000 for the tax year 2020 and under 140 for the tax year 21 to contribute to a Roth IRA.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So,
not that much
and
money.
after that, are there any other uh vehicles that you can
Contribute to?
invest in?
Funny, you
That you
should
can
ask.
contribute to?
Funny, you should ask.
Good question.
A good question, yes. The first one we want to talk about is brokerage accounts. So, that's just an account where you go down to a financial advisor, you open up a brokerage account, you pay taxes on the money, and you invest the money. And that's a great way to go for anybody. If they have a 401k, it's a great way to invest in items that aren't appropriate for the 401k. So they both can work together. And of course, if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a 401k like we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
that's a way to get started. How much should you put away?
Mm-hmm.
That one's tough. Most people, if they start early in their 20s or super, super early 30s, they need to be putting away 10 to 15%. As you get older, you probably need to be putting in more, especially if you start older. So that's one way to go is go get yourself a brokerage account and then you can invest in just about anything. And the same rules are going to apply. A well diversified portfolio with the right mix of stocks and bonds, reevaluate, rebalance, right? So just at some type of brokerage
Okay.
account at any kind of house, just make sure you follow those rules. Okay. So that's number two.
Okay. Okay.
Number three is you could do it the old fashioned way and do what we call a tax deferred annuity, right? Where you put the money in,
Okay. And how
it
does that
grows.
work?
I'm not an authority on annuities, but I'll just let you know it is an insurance problem. It is an insurance uh, uh, product, and
Product?
essentially,
Okay.
you put your money away after tax. It grows tax deferred, just like the name
Mm-hmm.
suggests.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get ready to pull that money out, you have to pay taxes on it,
Okay.
right? The
Okay.
deal is the thing that you want to take a look at though is the word annuity. Annuity. And that makes this an insurance product. So with most annuities, they come with some guarantees. They come with some pretty high fees. So you may not be able to get market results, right? So um, they're good for people that need a floor
Mm-hmm.
for the amount of loss.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they work is since you're paying a higher fee to have that insurance company guarantee those monies and invest those monies for you, the
Mm-hmm.
amount that you can make in the market is less.
Okay.
Okay, but sometimes they will give you a floor so that the money that you lose, the amount that you can lose, is less. So I'm just going to go out on a limb and suggest that for some people who are extremely risk averse, in that their thinking is a little wonky because they think that they don't understand that as the market goes down, we can take advantage of that. They see the market go down and they say, I'm losing money and I have to do something. For those
Mm-hmm.
kinds of people,
Mm-hmm.
a tax deferred annuity or a TDA might be a good thing because it'll only go down so far, right?
Okay.
The problem
Now, are
is,
they automatic deductions that can take place there? I can set it up and it just happens. It
sure,
just pulls money from my account.
yep, you can do
I
that.
don't have to think about it.
You don't have to think about it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. The problem is, though, it can only go up so high.
Oh, okay.
All right, because you still have to pay
Uh,
that fee, right? So um, you're thinking I can't lose money, but you also have to worry is I can't make very much money because insurance companies are here to make money. So they're going to take money off
mm.
of the top of your return, no matter what that return is.
Oh, okay.
Still got
So
to
that's
pay.
sort of a con to going in that direction. A negative on that one, huh? Kind
I
of,
would
sort of.
call it something not for me. But I have a friend who has a tax deferred annuity and he loves it because he's so afraid of the market.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So
that's
just
number
meeting
three.
people where they are.
There you go. We have to meet them where they are.
Okay.
Okay. I want to take a quick break here and introduce you, and then we'll go back to four and five. Is that okay?
That sounds excellent.
Okay, so just a quick break of who Crystal is. We are fortunate. She is a business coach and consultant, CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, the co director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's the co host of that other weekly online radio show, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College. She's a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and she's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist.
Oh, look at that.
We,
You got it right.
yeah,
And who are you?
who am I? I'm Jevon Thomas. I'm a registered financial advisor, and I work on retirement plans for folks. Okay,
Okay.
like 401ks and 403bs. Okay, let's jump back in. Let's talk about number four and number five. They're pretty close. Number four is real estate, right? And the particular real estate that I'm talking about is through your brokerage account, perhaps going in to buy a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund. And we can talk about those later if you'd like. But
Mm-hmm.
buying real estate through that brokerage account in some type of fund. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a great way to go. Now, most folks would say, why would I want to do that? It's because real estate acts counter to what the market acts. It doesn't act in the same way. So it's a great way to diversify your portfolio.
Mm.
And then someone's going to try to sell you all the other things like, they're not creating any more land and houses always go up, all that kind of stuff, right?
Okay.
But for me, the real reason is it's a way to diversify your portfolio. So that's a great way to get into real estate, and I think you should, but it's also a great way for you to think, maybe this is something I should invest in. Okay.
Mm. Okay.
So there's
Okay.
real estate through your brokerage account. Then there is, of course, the last one that I'm going to suggest, and that is real estate itself, right? Perhaps you want to leverage the equity in your home or save up and get some property so that you can receive income from that property inside your old age, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
another great way to save for retirement. Of course, I want to stick in here that no one of these is going to be your sole thing to get you to those retirement years, right? You want to do a combination of all of these. And for some folks, a combination of all five. So if we go back and take a look, the IRA, be that Roth or traditional, the
Mm-hmm.
brokerage account, the tax deferred annuity, real estate, be that in a fund or actual real estate, all five of those are great things you should get involved with. And I would encourage everyone to get involved with as many of those as they can, but to work with their financial advisor to see which ones work for them. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah,
Which
that
ones work
makes a
for
lot
them
of sense.
and
Right.
how they can manage that.
And they are starting this process earlier than later is a good advice for them. Don't wait till 5-10 years before you're going to retire. Really start looking at this before you even get close to retirement, right?
Oh yeah, I definitely would suggest that. And I think you're bringing up another point in that which one of these is better, right? Many of my friends will say that a 401k is good because of this and it's better than this particular account because of that. And then
Mm-hmm.
some people will say that this particular account is better than the 401k because it does that. And I would say that most financial advisors, if they're worth their salt, will say that each one of these is good for everyone if you're eligible for it, right? If you can take advantage of it, uh, it's good for you. So you want to do it all. You want to diversify your holdings,
Mm-hmm.
diversify your different types of accounts. Not one of them is better than the other. It's kind of like, and I hate to use the sports analogy, but it's sort of like having golf or playing golf rather.
Okay.
There's a reason why you've got nine clubs, a putter, a sandwich, right? You want to use all of those clubs, right?
Right.
Right. So it's the same way with investment vehicles. You want to use all of those vehicles. so that you can get to where you want. Does that make
Uh,
sense?
yeah, that does. But do you do all of them at one time, or is it part of the strategy? I might start with the IRA, and then out with the Roth, or look into investing in real estate and things like that. Or is it all you sit down with your planner, and he outlines each one of those five entities and say, okay, this is when we will start here. This is when we're gonna start here, and that kind of stuff. Is that kind of how would that
How it
be a
works?
strategy?
It's tough, because most of us, when we first get out of college, we don't have the wherewithal to even do an IRA, right? I mean,
Right,
we're
exactly.
busy buying beer and trying to pay off our student loans. So, I mean, you got to do what you
That
got to do, right?
right.
I would say at the very least, you want to start with an IRA. I would say that. And then I would say for most people, after you max out that IRA and inside that, I would do both. I would do the Roth and the traditional. And depending on how you feel, right?
Mhm.
Understanding the market goes up and the market goes down. So get a good understanding of that tool. But I think an IRA is a great way to go for everyone. And then next, I would try the brokerage account, right? Putting a little bit in there because you certainly don't want to play in your IRA. That's for retirement. But a brokerage
Right.
account is a great way to like explore things. You want to buy some interesting stocks out there. Brokerage account is a great way to do that. As long as
Mhm.
you remember you need to put away 10 to 15% of your income, right? So you're
Mhm.
working towards that. And with so many of these, the tax deferred annuity, the brokerage account, the IRA, you've got to remember time is your friend. So the earlier you can start it, even if you can't fill it out, the earlier you can start it, the better. So that means I would say don't wait until you can put that whole $6,000 away before you go to the next one. These are
Mhm.
in no particular order. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
if you are putting away $2,000 a year and you get a great deal on a house rather than paying rent, and that seems like something that you and your family can make happen, I'd go for it. You want to
Okay.
put some money away in that IRA because time is your friend, but at the same time, a house is a good investment,
It's a very good investment.
right? For
Yeah.
many of us. So, and a brokerage account is a good investment as well. So, um, don't get hung up on following the pattern, right? Time is the benefit for most of these. The sooner you can get in, the better.
Okay.
Okay. So
Mhm.
there's a balance there. Balance
Okay.
there.
Okay. And the best way is to sitting create, it's interesting. I even have to tell my client, my entrepreneurs, this, that especially when it comes to them getting bank loans and things like that. Sometimes people have these entities that are working there on their behalf, but they don't develop relationships with them. So therefore it's just I'll call into you once a year or every 2 to 3 years, but you kind of have to start or establish a relationship with the individual that's maintaining and managing or helping you manage your retirement money. Would you
Yeah.
not agree?
Yes, you do. You really do. Because you don't want to check in with that person every 10 years and all of a sudden not know what's going on. So you're absolutely right. You want to start that early, you know. And, people change, right? So,
Hmm.
I think one of the fears that folks have is, I'm 30 and this person's 60. Are they going to be a good advisor for me? They might be. They could be.
Right.
They may understand you, right? I would
Hmm.
say go with them. You don't need to go with someone who's going to outlive you, right? So, I mean, it's okay to transfer your money to someone else, right? And
Right.
all of these counts are flexible that way. So, um, don't get stuck on these things that society says you ought to do. Start early and learn what the tools can do for you.
I heard a story today. One of my colleagues called me, and one of his friends passed away, and he was speaking with the wife um this morning, and he was saying she was a homemaker, and everything was reliant on the husband. So now she's kind of scrambling because she knows nothing. She knows nothing. How where the life insurance is, where he worked for. Was a professor. Who do you talk to in regards to his retirement? She none of that because her husband took care of everything. Are there programs, or do you guys, as financial advisors and consultants for one, do you have programs that set up for women to help them understand, not to override whatever their positions are in their household or how they like to, the husband is the breadwinner, but so that they won't be caught off guard. I've heard that story, and I'm sure you've heard that story on many, many occasions, that at the time of the husband's death, they are clueless, basically clueless. How do you guys address that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. I think we may have spoken a little bit about that before, but just to fill that answer out, the worst time to talk with a financial advisor is when you're in a state of loss and you don't know anything about your spouse's accounts. That is a horrible time to talk to a stranger, right? You really want to talk to someone you know. So if you have a financial advisor, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this, if you have a financial advisor, depending on what side of that line of a spouse that you're in, and that person is not including on a regular basis your spouse, you need to get yourself another financial advisor. You really
Mm.
do, right? We're in a situation now where men uh, die before where women outlive men. Wives
Yeah,
outlive husbands
yes, they
a
do.
lot of the time.
They
And
do.
if you really care about your wife, even though she says, I don't understand that, I'm going to let you handle it, you at least need to make that introduction so that she has a friend to go to um, when things go wrong, right? Whoever is on that side, whoever's doing that. So, and to get back to your question pointedly, most financial advisors, number one, they want to have that relationship with the spouse. And I'll just go out on a limb and tell you why. A good 50 to 60% of assets leave when the person in the couple passes away,
Mm.
right? Because the other
Mhm.
person doesn't know who they are. So if you are a financial advisor and you're looking at this, talk to the spouse, or you need to make that happen, right? So so yes. So most financial advisors have something, or they know somebody who can get you something, right? And it's good to review that at least once a year, I would say, because things change.
Okay.
Your kids get older, someone gets sick, your grandparents move in, stuff happens in your life. Your kids get out of the house. You no longer need that insurance policy, or you need that insurance policy for a different reason. And so we need to
Mhm.
change that to add a rider or what have you, right? So it's always good to have a book. Now, am I suggesting that the spouse needs to know everything about your insurance life and your finances? I'm going to say no. They do need to know where that information is. They need to
Okay.
have that book or that CD drive or something like that. And they need to know who it is that's actually going to be able to connect with them when they're in their tired their time of need. Because I've been in that situation where the spouse was on the phone and said my partner just passed away and has left me, I think, all this money. I need to know what a mutual fund is. Not good. Not good,
Right, right,
right?
right, right,
We want to
right.
know what that is, or we want to talk to a trusted person when we're in that need, because death is or divorce is stressful enough.
Yeah, because a lot of times, we don't. So that's something that you do then when someone calls you to schedule an appointment, and obviously you're finding out the particulars about them. And if there's a spouse, do you highly, highly recommend that both of them sit down with you and kind of go over it?
And this is one of those few times where you're going to hear me say specifically, yes, most definitely. Yes, yes, indeed. Because, usually I say yes, no, well, it depends, and maybe. This time, yes. Both of you need me
Emphatically, yes.
emphatically, yes. Get in
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I think that, and I mean, obviously there are a lot that don't, because there's so many women that I know that have been in this same situation, and so obviously somebody's not informing them, or something's happening. But I think when we look at that, as if the wife is going to outlive the husband, and especially, I mean, sometimes there's like young children, right? That's there. Who was it? The talk show host King died. Stephen, was it, what's his name? King. He died this weekend. Uh
Oh my goodness.
yeah, and he's 80 something, his wife is 30 something. But they have a small child. So, and these things happen, especially an older man marrying a younger woman.
Hmm.
And of course, he would be the person running all of the finances in the household. And so all of a sudden she finds herself on the outside not knowing. And I think it's very important. Especially if there's young children
Oh
involved and
yeah.
they still got to go to college and they still got to
Yes.
live.
Yes. Yes. That's
Yeah.
a horrible time to get a surprise that is unpleasant. Right?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's excellent. Excellent. See any other questions? So, that I haven't already asked. I can't think of anything at this point.
Okay. So while you're waiting there, can we go to the section called "Don't Be That Guy"?
I love this section.
I'm so glad because it's real life and stuff happens. So in this section of "Don't Be That Guy," I'm going to find out the person that goes to Social Security. So and they at the last minute, that's the person. Do not be that guy. Do not go to Social Security Administration at the last minute. And I'm not even going to give you their number. I'm going to say go to www.ssa.gov, figure out where the place is in your neighborhood or your section of town, make an appointment, talk to them, do whatever you need to do. But you want to do that early. Now, how early? Because in a 401k plan, I say 5 years out is a good time to start talking with your financial advisor. I'm
Mhm.
going to say 10 to 12 years out is a good time to talk with your Social Security office and to start figuring out what you're going to do. Right. And I'll give you an example. I have a friend reached the age of 60 years old, and she knew that she could start taking advantage of Social Security at 62. Right.
Mhm.
Her concern was that if she started taking advantage of Social Security at 62, the amount would be less than if she waited until 67. You've heard that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
And of course, as you know, there are always other parts of the story. So my friend, right? She's one of those folks who paid tons of attention to her children, right? And so
Mhm.
instead of being able to contribute to both 401k and raise her kids, she focused on raising her kids. And then, of course, as she got older and she got into her prime earning years, her parents got sick. And so she had to spend money taking care of them. So the amount of money that she was able to put away in her 401k plan was pretty limited, pretty limited. But not only
Mhm.
that, she started late, so she didn't get a chance to take advantage of time to build those assets. Right? Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking at her and I'm saying, well, you may want to consider collecting that Social Security earlier. And she, of
Mhm.
course, said, I don't want to do that because then the amount's going to be less than if I wait till 67. Right?
Mm.
Okay. It's a good point. Right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So here's the deal, though. If you wait, the time period between 62 and 67 for most of us is about 30%. That is, you can get 30% more in your check if you wait till 67. Probably even more if you wait till 70, but at least 67. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. However, the average person receives about $1,800 a month from Social Security.
Okay.
Right. So, what if you were able to take a little bit of that or most of that you're going to get and put it away into your 401k plan? All right.
Oh. Okay.
Put it into your 401k plan. So you collect it, you put it in your 401k plan. The limit you can put in your 401k plan per year is 19.5. Plus, if you're over 50, you can put an extra 6,000 in. So that's about $25,000. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. You're 60 years old. You start your plan, you get to 62, pull that check in, you put as much money as you can into your 401k, you're putting your $25,000 in, you work until you're 72. Are you
Mhm.
with me?
Mhm.
Okay, so for 10 years, you've been putting 25,000 or more in. Now you've got between 250,000, maybe if we've got some market growth, maybe even closer to $300,000 in your plan, right?
Mhm.
Now you've got a $300,000 that you can put into an annuity
Mhm.
that's going to
Mhm.
provide you some income, and you're
Mhm.
still getting the check from Social
Mm.
Security, right?
Okay.
Okay. So for those of us that wait late, that might be an option or a way to go about things, right? So you can get income plus you're still getting that Social Security check. That makes your life dramatically better. But if you wait till 65 to try that, it's
Mm.
not gonna work, right? And if you
And some
especially wait till you're 70,
and
it's not
it's
gonna
that,
work.
and sometimes there's some, if you're not going back and checking, you may have gotten married, changed some names, it's a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah.
could have changed, and all of a sudden they're asking you for birth certificates. You can't find it. You got to write
Mm-hmm.
away to another state to get it.
Right.
So if I would think if you were preempting all that, being more proactive, starting earlier on, so that you will know exactly what they're going to need at the time it's, as you're building up and to the retirement. But like you said, finding out that there's other, it can help you
Mm-hmm.
if you start early,
Mm-hmm.
and help you with your retirement planning if you start early.
Yeah. It's serious business, right? And that's
Yeah,
one way to help you survive for the rest of your days, right?
yeah.
Have that income, have that Social Security. And we had Tony Ronan on the store yesterday. You've got that house paid off or close to being paid off. That's a good
Hmm.
thing, right? Now we've got some things we can do to leverage. Now your financial advisor has some tools. But you
Hmm.
can't come to your advisor at the age of 70 and say, fix me.
No, I would not. Now, is there in the "Don't Be This Guy" segment, have there been couples or individuals that have run out of money after they retired?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, most
Okay.
definitely. And that's one of the big fears, right? Um, how long is that money going to last? We generally say that your retirement income should generate, because people like to have checks, that your retirement income, that is everything you've got, Social Security savings, um, brokerage accounts, real estate, all of that stuff, tax deferred, all that stuff, that should generate about 110% of your pre-retirement income,
Okay.
right? Because
Okay.
most people, when they retire, they want to do stuff. They're not going to sit at home, right, and do
Mm.
nothing. And we're living for a long time. Some
Yeah, I
of
was
us
gonna
are
ask
living.
that. Now,
Yeah.
our life expectancy, I mean, there are people 70, 80, 90, 100 years old. My uncle lived to be 99. My grandmother
Hmm.
lived to be 103.
Yeah.
And in today's world, outside of this COVID world we're living in right now, most people are living well into their hundreds. And what do they say? The new 70 is the new 60, and
Yeah.
60
Yeah.
is the new 40, and
Sure.
because we're
Sure.
taking better care of ourselves and our life expectancy is longer.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's a very good chance that if you're 60 now, you're going to live to 90, 95. And so that's 30 years you need to plan on. You can have
Mm,
a whole new career between 60 and 95. You can start a whole business. You can do you can do all kinds of things. You've got 30 years to play around with there. So, you want to plan for that. So that's the don't
yeah,
be this guy.
don't
Start
be this
early.
guy.
Don't wait till 5 years out. Go to Social Security, see what the numbers are
Hmm.
at 62 and 70, and see if there's a way you can use that to establish an income stream for yourself.
That's excellent advice, Javon.
Thank you.
So our audience, I hope you're listening and seeing how important it is to start early. on your planning. You can never be too early,
Mm,
and it's better to be in the know and be able to walk it step by step, and that be part of your every year planning. And like you said, Javon, I train and teach, speak to a lot of entrepreneurs that are retired from their jobs, and they are now in a position to start businesses and not be worried about how they're going to pay the mortgage and their expenses. And one of the things, so I call it their second act. And then I have some individuals that are on their third act. And so now they're doing their passion work, right? They're either
mhm,
started this business that they've always wanted to start, or um, they're writing books. They've become authors, and chronological, doing a chronicle of their whole entire life. They've
mhm.
become podcasters.
Hmm.
All of those things, but being able to, you know, do those things with the leisure of knowing that you have your financial picture kind of pretty solid there, that you don't have to worry about just the basics of just living everyday living like you did when you first started out is
Yeah,
very, very important.
yeah, yeah. It is something to consider. So, with that, we've got the don't be that guy. I want to talk a little bit about the conversations on the patio, the actual conversations that we have. I'm sorry, the actual patios that we have. My patio, I'm in the little square here, so my patio is a little bit different than Crystal's. Yours is on the beach with the fire pit in the center, I believe, right?
Yeah, because it's cold today.
And mine is looking over the ocean. And so, what we'd like for folks to do is to take a look at which patio that they like and let us know, and then we can put it on the next show as to which one won out. So that's just a little game we like to play.
Yeah, and these conversations. So let me tell you the reason why the conversations on the patio. So when Jevon and I were talking about the having a podcast and having these conversations, and what's a comfortable place for people to be having life decision defining moments, right? Usually, I've gone camping. I used to do a lot of camping in my when I was well, still do. And we would have the most amazing conversations in front of fire pits. So we'd have my girls and I would be sitting on, friends that got a pool. We'd be sitting on the pad, just having some incredible conversations, solving the world's problems, solving our problems, solving all our friends' problems. So I just thought, what an excellent, relaxing way to have a conversation about retirement. So you'll see that it's that, not that monster or that big elephant in the room that you need to address, but you're afraid to address. So that's the reason why we're called Conversations on the Patio. We want it to be relaxed. We want you to learn and acquire knowledge, and then reach out and call your financial advisor or Javon.
Yep.
That's a plug for Javon.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as you can see, he's knowledgeable. He would sit and listen to you, and really find out before you need it, where you need to be in order to be prepared for your retirement. So that's the story behind the patio. So which one do you like? Um, Javon is obviously sitting up on a bluff and overlooking the ocean there, or that looks like that's kind of like there's a barrier or trees or an island or something. Anyway, George, he's sitting there, and that's a beautiful view. And then mine's is the ocean.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the purpose of, or the premise behind Conversations on the Patio. We hope you guys are enjoying the conversations that we're having, and that you're getting information that you can utilize in real life. And and if you want to know anything else, send us some information on our Facebook pages or our emails. Then we want to give them some contact information, Javon.
Yes. Well, you can always reach me at www. Jevon at btagroup.net. And my number is all over here, the 949-545-1358. And Crystal, how can people reach you?
They can reach me at C Mitchell at 544 at gmail.com. And you can also find me on Facebook under Crystal Mitchell. and my company is called Mitchell Business Solutions. You can go to my website, and if you want to schedule a complimentary an appointment. I consult and coach individuals on how to start that dream business, that passion business. And you can schedule a complimentary 45-minute session with me, and we can find out if you have these dreams and you want to move forward with helping launch and execute those dreams. That's what I do. I help people make their dreams come true.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, with that, I think we should end our show unless there's something else you wanted to add, Crystal.
No, there's not, but I do think there's and maybe Jevon, when we come back next week, we're here every Monday morning, every Monday afternoon, Monday afternoon. All those words got together. So let me start all over.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start maybe compiling some reading material for our audience so that they can become knowledgeable like yourself.
We can do that, and that's a great idea because there's so much info out there, and it's really great to have those bits of literature so that you can read them, and then you can come and ask us questions about them. And we're always happy to do that. I talk to people about what if scenarios all the time, and I know you do as well, Crystal. So
Yes.
that's a great thing to do is get some literature, read it, and ask questions about it. You're not alone.
I think so. Knowledge is power, and it's so much more helpful when people have a little bit of understanding what they want to ask you, so it can help
Yeah.
you with the direction on how to help them.
Yes. Yes, that's a good thing.
I
That's a good
find that
thing.
an excellent thing myself.
Yeah.
So with that, that's all I have. So we'll be compiling a list of, and every week maybe we'll give them a couple books that or a couple of locations and places that they can go and do some reading and obtaining that knowledge until they get back. And then if you have questions from what you read, then if we can answer them, then ask us and keep that interaction going on.
Awesome. Sounds great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for Conversations on the Patio with Crystal and Jevon. We've had a great time. Hope to see you next week. We're planning to have someone visit us. I believe we're going to have an attorney talk about wills and trusts. So that's definitely a show you want to tune into. So again, thank you very much for joining us.
All righty. Bye bye, everyone. Have a good week.
Bye bye now.